Greetings, everyone, and welcome to part 14 of the Doctor Who DVD Disambiguation. Yeah, we're past halfway. We're past the halfway point now. As of right now, we've made it halfway through the entire series of classic Doctor Who. Crazy. Well, today we'll be talking about the 1976-1977 season, once again featuring the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, the guy with the scarf, in his third season as the Doctor. This is another really strong season. There's some great stories in this one, so let's get right to it today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, so season 14 begins with story number 86, The Mask of Mandragora. Yeah, this is an interesting one because in a very direct way, the Doctor is kind of responsible for creating the mess that they find themselves in the story. Yeah, after a freak encounter with the Mandragora Helix, they make a narrow escape, which is the Mandragora Helix is just this evil alien force. They make a narrow escape back to 15th century England, I think it was, wasn't it? 15th century San Martino, sorry, not England for a change. And unknowingly, he's brought it back with him, and all hell breaks loose. It's definitely a different type of story with a different type of villain, and that's kind of what they were trying to do with this season, was kind of mix up the villains a little bit, not just have the obligatory crazy guy, crazy villain, whatever, monster, what have you, trying to take over the universe, but things that were a little more interestingly malevolent, and the Mask of Mandragora is one of the results of that experiment, and I think a lot of fans would agree a pretty successful result as well. And then, sadly, it's time to bid adieu to Sarah Jane Smith. Yep. Her final story, story number 87, The Hand of Fear. Once again, seeming to take a bit of a cue from the old Hammer horror films. In this case, the hand in question belongs to an evil alien creature and actually grows into a full being and stuff like that is kind of androgynous in a way, but anyway, really good story, just lots of stuff going on, and sadly Sarah Jane's final adventure, the Doctor actually gets called back to Gallifrey at the last minute and just kind of drops Sarah Jane off. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of like he doesn't even get the chance to really say goodbye. He just has to rush off to Gallifrey and unfortunately can't bring her with him, which actually leads into one of my all-time favorite Doctor Who stories, and notable in that it's the only story in all of Doctor Who's history, at least I think this may have been done a few times in the new series, but the only story in the history of the classic series in which the Doctor does not have any companions. It's strictly a solo Doctor adventure. We have The Deadly Assassin, where the Doctor may or may not have just assassinated the president of Gallifrey. Yep. And the whole thing plays out like a big murder mystery. And this is actually the first time that we've really gone to Gallifrey and seen the Doctor's home planet and really gotten an in-depth look at the culture of the Time Lords. And it's really interesting stuff. And it also features the first time we see the Matrix, which is basically a repository of knowledge of Time Lords past, and can also, much like the Matrix from the movies, can also create a false reality that you can step into and interact with, and the power of the mind reigns supreme in the Matrix. It's pretty cool stuff, and this one got in some trouble with the censors because there's a cliffhanger to one of the episodes in which the Doctor is fighting this guy in the Matrix, and the guy gets a hold of the Doctor and starts to drown him. And the drowning scene is quite vicious and goes on for quite a while. and then the cliffhanger happens. So the parents groups were up in arms. It's like, oh, now kids are going to be all traumatized, imagining the Doctor being drowned, this horrific final image of the episode, for an entire week until the next episode is on. They can see the resolution, and it's like, well, it's called a cliffhanger, folks. Wouldn't be much of a cliffhanger if the Doctor wasn't in danger. Just saying. But this DVD edition, it actually, that scene was actually trimmed later. This DVD edition has restored it as much as possible. Yeah, there's a making of featurette here that features Mary Whitehouse, founder of the National Viewers and Listeners Association. Mary Whitehouse was one of the biggest opposers to inappropriate content in Doctor Who and just BBC programs in general. And she's kind of notorious. Look her up on Wikipedia. Mary Whitehouse, spelled exactly the way it sounds. So, after the fantastic solo adventure, the Doctor heads off to Jungle Planet, where he meets up with Leela, warrior of the Seva Team. And he also has to do battle with an evil computer that he may have met before in this. In the Face of Evil, story number 89. This is really great stuff. The cliffhanger of episode 1 will just blow your mind. You'll be like, what? How is that possible? What's going on? And then we have a pair of special editions. So I'll give you a look at the original releases in just a moment here. So first up, we have story number 90, The Robots of Death, which is another all-time favorite of mine. I've always just really, really loved this story. Who wrote this one? This is Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher went on to fame as one of the co-writers of Blake 7, and also wrote Cops in Space series I really enjoyed called Star Cops. It was a short-lived 9-episode series. Really, really well done. But anyway, Robots of Death, one of his earlier contributions to Doctor Who. A great, great story. Lots of nods to Isaac Asimov in that, about robots not being supposed to kill humans and whatnot, and being forced to do so. Yeah, just a great story. Some great cliffhangers in that one. This is one of the earliest stories that I remember seeing in full as well, and it always really stuck with me. Back when I was a teenager, as a reward for doing well in school on like a history test or something, my parents had bought me the VHS release of The Robots of Death. It was the very first Doctor Who VHS release I ever got. And it was one of the earlier VHS releases, so it was the omnibus edition, the movie edition. But I always treasured that. Sadly, I sold it along with all my other Doctor Who stuff many, many years ago. Would have been nice to hang on to that one, at least for nostalgic purposes. But yeah, so The Robots of Death has always been kind of special to me. I guess I probably saw that story more than any other because I had the VHS tape of it. And I always loved the story. I always thought, but I mean, even before that, I always really enjoyed that story, and I was really happy that was the particular one that they had bought for me. I think they were going to hold it off as a Christmas present, but because I did really well on this history test, they decided I deserved a reward, so they gave it to me as a reward, and that was pretty cool. So I did used to have the original DVD release of that, which looks like this. And then, well, I'm sure you'll agree the special edition cover looks much nicer. Yeah, definitely. So, anyway, special edition is it 2 discs? I think it's actually still just 1 disc. That's odd. Usually when they go back and do a special edition, they add a second disc, but I guess that one they didn't. But there is some additional extras on there, which is pretty cool. And then finally, just a terrific season-ending story here. The 6-part story, The Talons of Weng-Chiang, story number 91. Yeah, I used to have the original release of this as well. One of the reasons a couple of reasons to pick this one up, actually, is this has a terrific documentary called Who's Doctor Who, which actually features a lot of behind-the-scenes footage from the Talons of Weng-Chiang. It's just a terrific 1970, well, I guess 1977? Yeah, I guess it was 1977 because that's when the story aired. So it's 1977 documentary about the making of Doctor Who, and there's lots of great tidbits about the history of the show in there. But in particular, it focuses quite heavily on the making of this story. So the Talons of Weng-Chiang essentially is Doctor Who does Sherlock Holmes. In fact, it takes place in Victorian England, and the Doctor spends almost the entire story not wearing his trademark, jacket and scarf, but actually wearing full Sherlock Holmes outfit with the deerstalker hat and everything. It's great stuff, and you got giant rats and opium dens, and you got magicians. I should also mention this is also the introduction of Jago and Lightfoot, which is a pair of guest characters in this, but the guest characters were so well received that as early on as 1977, when this story was originally broadcast, they were talking about giving them their own spin-off, where they would, essentially solve mysteries and whatnot and strange goings-on in Victorian England. The spin-off did not happen for a very long time. However, it has happened recently via Big Finish Audio. Big Finish Audio has done a whole series of adventures with the original actors who played Jago and Lightfoot in the Doctor Who episode. Basically just the adventures of Jago and Lightfoot. So they finally got their spin-off, and I think they've done like 5 sets of adventures now, and you can get them on Amazon or through the Big Finish website, but as audio adventures. So pretty cool. I actually haven't heard any of them yet. I'd really like to, though, because I really enjoyed their characters and the interplay between them in that story. So another fantastic season. We got the send-off of Sarah Jane Smith, the introduction of Leela. We got Robots of Death, a personally significant story to me, and just generally a great story that I've always enjoyed. And the Talons of Weng-Chiang, of course, and the Deadly Assassin, which gives us a lot more background about Gallifrey. I should mention also, I don't know why I forgot this, but the Master makes his first return appearance in the Deadly Assassin. Yeah, so they brought the Master back, but he's not doing so well in that story. Well, you'll have to find out for yourself what I mean. But, great season. Season 14. Enjoy. Alrighty. I hate to say it, but we're going to have to take a bit of a break from the Disambiguations for a little while because we are at the end of my consecutive Doctor Who DVDs. Not bad, considering I only started rebuilding the collection in January. So I've got as far as Season 14. Following that, I basically just got some random titles that aren't really in any kind of order. So we're going to take a bit of a break until I can add a few more titles to the collection. Meantime, I got lots of other Doctor Who stuff I can talk about. I got other things in my collection. I got magazines and comics and books and all kinds of stuff that we can still talk about. Actually, one thing I could do in lieu of the Disambiguations is finally sit down and start doing the individual DVD reviews and then give you more in-depth information about each individual release. And that'll give us, that'll give us about 80 videos right there. Yeah. Alright, so starting from the top, we have story, just double checking the numbering. Story 86, The Mask of Mandragora. Story 87, The Hand of Fear. Story 88, The Deadly Assassin. Story 89, The Face of Evil. Story 90, The Robots of Fear. And I completely forgot to show you the original release of the Talons of Weng-Chiang, which looks like this. There you go. That's the original release. And then finally we have story number 91, The Talons of Weng-Chiang. I should mention this special edition does appear to carry over all the extras from the regular edition, so you needn't worry too much. The big one for me was that documentary, the Who's Doctor Who documentary. It's a full hour-long documentary, so it's pretty meaty stuff, and definitely worth the price of admission right there. Again, just a joy to get a behind-the-scenes look at these earlier adventures, because it's so rare to see behind-the-scenes footage from that era. It's really common nowadays, obviously, but these early stories, it's a real treat when you get to see stuff like that. And the documentary on here is definitely worth checking out. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.